Homestead-Miami Speedway. It's time for the final practice for the NASCAR Nationwide Series teams. Over 50 cars are here. They will qualify tomorrow morning. We'll have that for you on Speed. But first things first, final practice for the NASCAR Nationwide Series teams. And good evening. Hi, everybody. Glad you're back with us. Steve Burns and Jeff Hammond. Normally we say, where's Hammond? Now we'll say, where's Larry?
I got him tonight.
Working on NASCAR performance.
Yep.
We hope he'll join us soon.
And don't forget that airs Sunday morning at 10 a.m.
Yes, I think that's right.
That's correct.
NASCAR Smarts is in there in the middle of that too.
Yeah.
Anyways, the order of business. Practice, Jeff. We had a 1 hour and 50-minute practice, a long practice. Look, Jeff Burton was the fastest. He practiced for about a half an hour and said, I'm going to wait till later when it gets dark.
Well, when it gets cooler. That's the main thing, because tomorrow afternoon this race starts at 4 o'clock. They're going to race into the evening, so a little bit more of a right kind of time. And you always like to say the night time is the right time. Well, this is the right time for the practice, folks, because of the fact that limit the nationwide guys as far as the sets of tires that they can run during the course of the weekend. So a lot of teams elected to save those tires for this practice. This is when they're going to find out what they've really got, whether they've got the balance for the race and they got the speed for qualifying.
Let's take a look at the point standings. Kyle Busch, just by starting tomorrow's race, will clinch his first NASCAR championship. And it's a Nationwide Series trophy. 190-point lead, and again, the scenario so simple for him, Jeff. He just needs to start.
It just needs to start, but again, we look back through the field right there. Carl Edwards and Brad Keselowski, that's probably where the battle's really going to come from. Carl Edwards helped himself out a week ago by winning at Phoenix, got himself a little bit of cushion and a little bit of momentum, but it all comes down to one race for everything.
Well, down in the garage area or on pit road is Bob Dillner.
I am in the garage area, Steve Burns, and we're getting ready for Nationwide Series final practice. Eric Darnell in the 6 car here, his first time with Dan Stillman as the crew chief, but I want to know from the first practice to this practice, what do you need to work on with this race car?
Well, obviously track conditions are going to be a whole lot different. I think we're going to have a whole lot more grip here at night. The first session, I don't want to call it a throwaway session, but you're in the heat of the day, you're slipping and sliding around. We're fortunate with our Northern Tool and Equipment Ford to have 2 sets of tires because we got a rookie set with me being a rookie in the series. So we went through 40, 45 laps earlier just to see what the car was going to do. But tonight's going to be completely different. I don't really know what the track's going to hold. Just more grip. I'm sure everybody will be faster.
As I mentioned, your first time with Dan Stillman, were there any kinks to work out? How are things going from that front?
No, everything's been going pretty well, I think. All the races that I didn't race earlier this year, I was at the track listening on the radio, mostly hanging out with Mike Kelly and everybody that was on this crew previously, but listening to all the guys and seeing how well they work together. And Dan did a really good job with Carl, and he's done a good job with David these first 2 races. So everything's been going good so far. I guess we'll find out more in the race tomorrow, though.
Big practice session coming up for Eric Darnell and everybody down here, and he should be good tomorrow night. Wendy Venturini.
Well, thank you, Bob. Good evening to everyone that's stuck with us here on Speed. Nationwide practice starting to get underway this happy hour. Brad Keselowski, how happy do you think you will be in this final practice session?
We'll find out. That's why I got to stay tuned to Speed. But looking forward to it. My last race in this 88 car is really my last practice session. So I don't know, I'm a little nervous about that, but it's been a good ride. Very thankful for everyone on this team and the opportunity I've been given over the last 2.5 years from Dale Kelly and Mr. Hendrick. We're going to end this out on a high note, and I'm looking forward to getting the race here at Homestead.
Doesn't sound nervous. It sounds sad, like the last day of school.
A little bit, yeah. It's kind of like graduating high school, you know, like that's where all your friends are, but at the same time, you're looking forward to the future opportunities you have.
All right, good luck to Brad Keselowski in his final practice session in this 88 car in the Nationwide Garage, because, of course, next year he will be full-time with Penske in Cup.
Well, thank you, Wendy. And again, this is final practice. It's a short one, but it is an important one. They'll qualify tomorrow morning at 11:35. We'll have that for you here on Speed. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Coming up next, the final race of the year for the Camping World Truck Series, NASCAR's roughest and toughest. Get one last chance to settle scores, trade paint, and celebrate in Victory Lane. Don't miss the Camping World Truck Series live, 7:30 Eastern. And don't forget Tire Monkeys and all that other kind of stuff that Michael Waltrip was talking about.
I'm telling you right now, I'm about as confused as I possibly could be. I can't believe that they were talking about that. Daryl's up here. I mean, 2 Waltrips in the same broadcast booth at the same time.
That's the definition of insanity.
That's dangerous right there.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you that. Speaking of danger, Could you believe a minute ago we had Mike Phillips standing in for Larry McReynolds?
From Mike Phillips from
Yeah,
NASCAR.
from NASCAR, man who handles so much stuff right there with NASCAR. He was over here. He wants Larry's job.
Does. Oh, and don't forget NASCAR Smarts airs 2:30 Saturday, and there's a re-air 10:30 Sunday.
I mean, they're bringing out the heavy hitters.
They are. Russell Wenrick and Jimmy Kyle Hicks from Racing Resources.
Going to take on Rutledge and Kyle Petty. Mano a mano.
There's a complete look at our menu tomorrow here on Speed. We will have cars on the racetrack when we come back. Under the lights at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, the NASCAR Nationwide Series teams getting ready for their final practice. Jeff Burton was the quickest, and Jeff, there's some big heavy hitters up there on the speed charts from first practice. Carl Edwards second, Denny Hamlin third, Scott Speed, Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth rounding out the top 6.
I look for those guys to be good, but Steve, I want to caution everything right now because we don't know what's going to happen here with this racetrack. When these guys practiced earlier today, they felt like the track was going to gain some grip when the sun went down. We heard the contrary from some guys who qualified in the Sprint Cup Series just a little while ago, that the grip was not really there. As we're watching Matt Kenseth in the 16 car, it looks like he's already got a little bit of an issue right now. His car is bottoming out big time, getting in the corner, through the center, as well as the exit of turn 4. We've seen trouble a lot down in turn 3 and 4, so I'm wondering if we're going to see some more of that during this practice session. Short session, everybody's got to get after it. So if something's going to happen, I think it'll happen pretty quick.
Been a hot day here in Homestead, Florida. Temperatures in the mid-80s. In fact, the local forecasters talking about, Jeff, perhaps a record high temperature on Sunday, maybe 87.
Yeah, and I think Larry talked about it also, or Darrell won in our practice session earlier today, about how this racetrack, we race on it once a year. We're not used to seeing it quite this warm here during this period of November. So I think a lot of these guys have anticipated this racetrack losing some grip. I think the track itself has lost a lot more than they really thought it would. So it's made it a challenge today early in these practice sessions, getting the car balanced up. Bob, 16 look like he's headed down the garage area. What's going on with him?
Matt Kenseth reported, as you guys noted, he is bottoming out. He's got to come in. They got to raise that car up just a little bit, not exactly to Matt's liking right now. But what I wanted to talk about, guys, is this actual racetrack. As you can watch the cars go around the racetrack right now. I talked to Scott Zipadelli, and he is the crew chief for Jason Leffler in the 38 car, and he said, you know what, as this track has aged and it's gotten lighter and lighter shade of gray, it's just lost a lot of grip. Normally when you go into the nighttime conditions, a track gains a lot of grip and kind of tightens up the race car. And he said it's almost the opposite here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. It just really kind of loses grip and sometimes reinforces how your car was earlier on in the day in the sunlight conditions.
Thank you very much, Bob. And Jeff Burton, one of just 2 drivers who have won more than 1 race here. We've had 11 different winners in 14 nationwide series events. Joe Nemechek, a 3-time winner. Jeff Burton won here in 1998 and then again in 2007 as we go on board with Jason Leffler. We have a spin. Carl Edwards in the 60 car.
What'd I say?
It's going to happen early.
It's going to happen early. And we're about 2 minutes and 44 seconds in this practice, and around he went.
So caution out.
Yeah, just a little bit free off the corner there, just a little bit.
I'd say.
No joke.
Hey, look who just made it. Larry McReynolds has just walked in. Larry, you'll never guess.
Let's take a look at this, Larry. You missed this. This is Carl Edwards right now coming off the corner.
Let me guess, that's turn
2.
That is turn 2. That's not turn 4.
We got a new corner involved.
Wow.
So Carl Edwards makes his way down the pit lane. Caution on the racetrack. Larry McReynolds, you will never guess who had your headset on moments ago.
Uh-oh. Who had my headset on?
Your buddy Mike Phillips from
Yep.
NASCAR
Did
had
he-
those headphones on.
Was he over here actually doing a broadcast?
He was trying to get your job though.
Okay.
We're glad you made it from NASCAR
I'm glad to be here.
Performance.
I'm glad to be here. Ran a little long. Tape of NASCAR Performance airs 10 a.m. Sunday morning. But
We've
ready to
already
go.
said that.
We got that in there
Okay.
for
That
you.
was a double
relax.
promo.
We're
Hey.
taking care of you.
Hey.
Hey, guess what?
Uncoil.
Guess what? Hammond got it right. He said if something's going to happen in this practice, it's going to happen quick. We just saw Carl Edwards.
was all over that one, wasn't it?
Nailed it.
Well, again, I've been listening to the guys that have been broadcasting as far as the truck qualifying is concerned, and some of the guys they interviewed said that they felt like the track had lost some grip. And then we caught up with your buddy down in NASCAR Performance, Booty Barker,
Who said the same thing.
So I said, you know what? If I just make a little note of that and bring that into play, we may see some fireworks.
And you know what? I know that Kyle Busch, when he cranks his car, he will be the champion. But that car that just spun out, he better look over his shoulder because there's a man by the name of Brad Keselowski, Wendy, that's not far behind him.
We done talked about that too.
Well, y'all give me a list of stuff you talked about.
You leave the booth for 1 second, they're all over you, Larry Mack. I know. It's like the cookies earlier. All right, here in the garage area. Well, Kyle Busch hasn't even hit the racetrack in this happy hour, while Carl Edwards has already hit the wall. He has very, very, very slight contact to the right rear. He said on the radio that it might need some rivets, but it really looks just cosmetic on the right rear quarter panel right there for Carl Edwards. Of course, it got a little free on him, as you heard him say. Now, the concern is, will Goodyear, will Nationwide, will the series officials give him a set of tires? That is the concern. Obviously, the car needs tires. Well, Carl, since you're walking up to me, I appreciate it. What happened out there, and are they going to give you a set of tires?
Well, it says right there on the back, don't panic. We got the ortho car here. It looks like it's all right. I just, as soon as that thing snapped loose, I thought, don't overcorrect and hit the fence. And then when it got backwards, I just want to not hit that inside wall. We got such a great race car here. I don't know what's going to happen if we'll be able to go practice some more or not, but no real damage. And it's just such a good race car, so fast in the first practice. Really glad it didn't hit anything.
All right, thanks to Carl Edwards for walking up to us. And like he said, don't panic. The car looks good.
Yeah, Wendy, Carl Edwards, second quit to Jeff Burton. Let's go on board with him as we go to break. Later tonight on Speed, Bobby Labonte chats about his new contract with TRG when he stops by the Ultimate Friday Night House Party. Don't miss NASCAR Trackside tonight at 10:30.
Be there, Barry.
Be there. Just moments ago, Kevin Conway in the number 26 car drove it in deep.
Ooh. These guys, they have been rim riding ever since they unloaded, and it's almost like a dirt track where you get against the cushion and you step across the cushion.
You're exactly right. I mean, that turn 4 has been this trouble all day long, and these guys just keep flirting with that wall. And again, Kevin Conway, well, he just done the same thing about 3 or 4 other guys already have before him.
Track stays green.
Steve, I think really we haven't seen the last of that. I really don't believe that we're done yet. We're going to have some more. I guess you had to call it Homestead stripes.
Hey, listen, nothing against Kevin Conway, but when one of the series best, Carl Edwards, spins out on his own, you know she's quick.
Racetrack's definitely got a little more speed in it, but it doesn't mean it's got any more grip in it.
On board with Mike Bliss and Bob Dillner. What's the update on Bliss?
Well, 15th quick so far from Mike Bliss, and we mentioned in the earlier practice, this is the 6th different car that he's run. He's battling to stay in the top 5 in points. He got to 5th last week. He's only 14 points ahead of Justin Allgaier. And I talked to the team in the break, and they said, hey, this feels like good old times. So they are very happy to have Mike Bliss back in the car, in this car, which he was actually fired back on August 1st for this team. So this is like a homecoming of sorts here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Mike Bliss says the car is pretty darn good right now. He's got a little bit of a twitchy feeling coming off the corner, but that's about it.
You know what's going to be amazing? These guys are going to roll in here tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time for qualifying. She's going to be a different animal even yet.
It'll be just as exciting tomorrow as it is tonight watching these guys race around here. But I'm going to go back to Mike Bliss and that one-car reunion. I hope it turns out well for him. It doesn't turn out to be a nightmare, but the car he got out of, the 11, being driven this week by Denny Hamlin, is the fastest guy in this practice session. You got 6 laps on the board right now. And, you know, I keep pointing out, Steve, he had a lot of impressive runs driving that 11 car, and Mike's trying to hang on to that number 5 spot in the points, and I think that's, you know, it's got to be a main focus from him. He's got to get that one car, I think, a little bit quicker if he wants to be able to do that.
And don't forget, he says he's got a little unfinished business with Mr. Keselowski.
Oh, you talking about Denny Hamlin?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's a Hatfield-McCoy type scenario right now going on, and it definitely is not over with.
Bob asked him earlier today, do you still have some hard feelings there? And he went, yeah.
But, you know, I like the fact that one thing, and Larry, maybe you'll back me up on this. I like the fact that Brad now has to kind of like watch out. Then he don't have to do anything. He may just wind up wearing him out, wearing him to death this week.
Aggravate.
And then take it on into next year. You never know when, you know, we finally get payback or restitution, whatever you want to call it.
But, you know, when you look at that 11 team, I talked to Paul Wolf, the crew chief at Phoenix last week. This race team needs a good run because right now, with all the good runs they've had, especially with Mike Bliss, even a couple of decent runs with Denny Hamlin earlier in the year, they are headed into 2010 with no sponsorship for that number 11 car. 0.
Bob Dillner.
Well, Steve Burns, a lot of things up in the air for this 11 team for next year, as Larry McReynolds was talking about. But Denny Hamlin really likes this race car. And he told us earlier, this is a brand new car. They have never run it. And he said the balance on it is pretty darn good right now. He is pretty quick, fastest in this practice session. But he was also telling me in the break about Paul Wolf. He said if this team, for some reason, doesn't get the funds and they don't continue, Paul Wolf is a hidden commodity in this sport. He will wind up someplace because he's that good of a leader. He can make a car go fast, and he can lead the troops as well.
Paul's a former driver.
Yes, he is.
So I think he understands how to communicate, and that drivers know how to communicate back to him. But this 11 car and this team, I mean, they've done a great job, and they, like I say, they're underfunded.
Denny Hamlin still the quickest. Stay with us here on Speed. Final weekend in this 2009 NASCAR season for all 3 series. Ron Hornaday comes here as the champion. You see Carl Edwards, in the truck series, you see Carl Edwards in that 60 car back on track.
Slow and blending
after
at the
spinning
bottom.
out early in this practice.
I didn't see how they could not run more practice. He'd only run 2 laps, and this is still a pretty important practice. I know this race is going to start in the daylight at 4:30, but they will race into the darkness.
I think what he was trying to say, they were a little bit concerned about the number of tires.
And that's a great concern.
And, you know, it's kind of like, okay, do we sacrifice here? Do we sacrifice here? But I'm with you. He did not run enough in the first practice to make me happy, and he definitely needed to run some here in the second practice to make sure there's some balance in that race car, because I'd rather go to Joe Ballas and the rest of the guys on the nationwide side and plead my case for those tires after the fact if I had to get a sit back. And I think they'll work with him because, again, you spin out and you flat spot the tires. I mean, they were no good to you. I mean, you had only made a lap and a half when you lost it. So I think they're willing to work with you.
Yeah, he only ran 9 laps in that first practice, 2 before he spun, 11 laps. Not sure about that one.
Wendy.
Well, Brad Keselowski not very happy in this final practice session. No grip off of turn 4 for Brad Keselowski. He said, really, it's the grip everywhere. Now that I think about it, he runs the bottom for 2 laps and the car quits. And not just a little, it quits a lot, he said. So that is the concern. We've heard a lot of radio chatter tonight about tires falling off very quickly here. But keep in mind, the racetrack has definitely changed from earlier when we had the practice session in the daytime. That's why a lot of teams elected not to go out very long this morning in this early afternoon practice. But now tonight, seems like I hear a lot of guys complaining about their race cars not wanting to cooperate out there. Bob?
Well, Wendy, Stephen Wallace complaining a lot less about his race car in this practice session. He was awful in the first practice session. In fact, he told Trip Bruce, his crew chief, let's hit the reset button. Well, they did that. Trip Bruce and this team made a lot of adjustments, including the angles on the truck arms on this car before the practice. Stephen says the car is a lot more secure, but it's bottoming out a little bit on the front end. So they changed the left front spring. He's planning to go back out there again, but Stephen Wallace a lot more happy during this practice session.
You know, we heard of a lot of people at Phoenix last week changing the trailing arm angle, moving them up. Of course, if the car was maybe a little too tight on the exit, or moving them down at the front if they were a little bit too loose.
Kelly Byers will join us on trackside, getting a jump on the 2010 season with Dale Earnhardt Jr. He signed a 2-year contract to
And
drive the 88
his
car.
crew chief for this weekend is actually Tony Uri Jr.
How's that going to work for next year? Do we know?
As far as I know, Pops is still going to be there. Is that what you're hearing, Jeff? Tony Uri Sr.?
So far, that's what I'm hearing. But it's a long, long way to Daytona. Even though it is
6 days.
6 days.
How many minutes or what is it? How many hours?
2064, I think it is. Well, of course, it's a little less now because that was a few hours ago. So roughly around 2060. You want me to get that in minutes?
Nope.
Sorry we asked.
You know, Scott Speed is 4th quickest in this practice. Now, he's only run a total of 4 laps, but boy, what a qualifying lap he laid down earlier today in the Sprint Cup car. He's going to start on the outside of the front row next to Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car.
Yeah, we hadn't really touched on that, but Jimmy Johnson and Chad Canals, they brought their A game once again down here to Homestead and said, hey, we need some bonus points. We need to put the pressure back on Mark Martin. By thunder, they did.
And Mark Martin's not far behind. He qualified 4th in that 5 car. And it was actually on the pole for quite a while.
I don't want to leave out the fact another kind of somewhat surprise, the 47 car, Marcus Ambrose, he will start 3rd.
A couple of surprises up in the top 5. You know, we're going to have a lot of hurt feelings here tomorrow at qualifying. We've got 52 cars here. That means 9 cars will be going home. By the way, it's 123,481 minutes until the Daytona 500.
You're a strange man. Sunday on NASCAR race day, built by the Home Depot, Wendy Venturini sits down with championship contenders Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, and their owner Rick Hendrick. NASCAR race day, built by the Home Depot, live at 11:30 Eastern. We'll be there as well.
All hands on deck.
Oh, it's the big show.
Man, that's a beautiful facility right there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. How did Mr. Hunter Nickel, our boss, say? Battle stations, everyone. Battle stations.
3 hours.
That's it.
DW is going to be on there. Kyle Petty.
Everybody. Jimmy, Kenny, Wendy.
Justin Allgaier, I know right before that first practice ended, him and Chad Walter decided to make a little practice qualifying run. He said it absolutely had no grip whatsoever. Bob, I got to believe maybe the nighttime has helped the grip a little bit.
You know, it has helped the grip a little bit, but not as much as Justin Allgaier would like. He was wicked loose in the first practice session, and he's still a little bit loose during this practice session. They just went down on the track bar on both sides to try to tighten his car up just a little bit. 25th quick right now. So Justin Allgaier, who is fighting for 2 things during this weekend, the Rookie of the Year and 5th in points, still struggling just a little bit. Remember, he's battling Mike Bliss, and Mike Bliss is not too shabby right now.
And he's battling Brendan Gaughan for that bestest Rookie of the Year here in 2009. Has an 8-point lead.
Yeah, I was going to say, separated by less than 10 points.
I'd love to hear from Brendan what he's thinking about that, because again, he comes into here. It's not the first time he's showed up here at Homestead trying to win a championship if he needed it. And Larry, there's
your boy
right there, Parker
Klinderman.
No.
I got the Parker right?
Yeah.
Klingerman.
Nope.
No.
Kligerman.
Attaboy.
There you go.
3rd time was a charm.
And you said you've been practicing.
I have been, maybe too much.
Too much NASCAR performance, maybe.
Whatever happened to the guys named Smith and Jones?
Well, one of them's on the other end of this headset you got on, talking to you.
Parker Kligerman, just 18 years old.
I better learn to say his name because I think he's going to be around here for a long time.
He won, I think, 7 or 8 ARCA races this year, and he's a development driver for Roger Penske.
Yeah, he finished. He ran the ARCA Series full time, finished 2nd in the points by only 5 points, and won the Rookie of the Year honors in that series. 19 years old.
Look at the battle there.
Not a battle.
Paul Menard on the bottom in the number 98.
Eddie McDonald in the 39 up on the top side. And there's the 10 car. Ooh, easy, boys, easy.
I don't know if I want to play this way in practice.
I know I wouldn't want to be. That's Justin Marks in the 10 car. But this is one of the things about this type of racetrack, though, Larry. You can do that, and you know, you get by with it. It's what kind of racing you get here with this progressive banking.
Oh, yeah, they reconfigured this racetrack 4 or 5 years ago and put the progressive banking, the variable banking, where it starts about 17 or 18 degrees, goes up to about 20 degrees. And from the minute they opened the track today, I know the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series had practice yesterday, but from the minute they opened the track for Nationwide Series and for Sprint Cup Series for that matter, these guys were right at the top of the track and all over the different grooves that you have options with.
Continue to watch the 98 car, Paul Menard. He's currently 8th. Well, he's now dropped back one. He's 9th quickest right now in this practice session. And Bob, what's going on with Brendan Gaughan?
Well, Jeff, you asked about Brendan Gaughan just a minute ago. He's 20th quick right now. The car's just a little tight in the center of the corner. So the first thing that they want to try is a little camber adjustment to try to get that car to turn a little bit better. The next run, they're going to actually change the setting on the front shock. So Brendan Gaughan, he said it's hot as heck and humid here, but he's doing pretty good so far, Wendy.
And Ryan Newman has 3 nationwide starts here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, one of them being a win. And for Ryan Newman, he's trying to relay how fast and good his race car is to Kevin Harvick right now. Crew chief Ernie Cope also into that conversation. Ernie Cope said on the radio that they had a pretty good race car. Ryan Newman said it felt good. It's balanced. It's a tick snug, but it's exactly what Ryan Newman wanted. And they said they have plenty of room on the air pressure to adjust this race car during the race. So they are feeling very confident about their race car tonight.
You know, Wendy, what I love about it right now is that you see the owner / driver, Kevin Harvick, who also drives this car, working with his driver, working with the crew chief. You've got to believe that's got to be good input right now with these two guys comparing notes and talking about what they're feeling out there, because again, Kevin's getting ready to go out and run the truck race here in just a little while too. So all these things are going to kind of play off, maybe help Ryan have a fast race car.
Truck Series and the Nationwide are running the exact same tire combination.
Larry Mack put a sticky note on my head.
Yeah, Parker Klingerman has 9 wins in ARCA this year.
Klingerman. Speed's coverage of NASCAR Nationwide Practice from Homestead is brought to you by Copart.com, an online auto auction where you control the price you want to pay. Go to Copart.com today. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. New Fuel Max tires help you have a winning fuel strategy. Beautiful shots provided by the Goodyear blend.
It is that. That's what I love about racing under the lights. So all of a sudden, these race cars, they really get put out on center stage.
Well, there's the man.
Talk about center stage.
Cranks the engine, drives off pit road, takes the green flag. You are looking at your 2009 NASCAR Nationwide Series champion.
And we make a little comment about this the other day doing an interview. Think about Mom and Pop Busch right now, how proud they've got to be. They got Kirk, who's won a Sprint Cup championship. Now they've got Kyle, who's going to wind up winning a nationwide championship. And they've accomplished a lot for young drivers from Las Vegas, Nevada. Their dad, Tom, has got to be very proud. He brought them up to be racers, and they've really turned out to be, as Darrell would like to say, they're wheelmen.
I mean, the most impressive number I see right there, yeah, the fact that he's won 8 races in 2009, but 11 second-place finishes. That means 19 top 2 finishes. That's roughly over half the races.
How about most races led, too? He led 31 of them.
Jimmy Kyle Hicks figured out the stat that if he completes every lap in the 3 races this weekend, he will have raced 24,000 miles, which is equal to the circumference of the Earth at the equator.
And I think, like Jeff Hammond pointed out, that doesn't include all the late model races and everything that he ran.
Good to have him back to the garage, and Bob.
You can see the 32 car has been up on jack stands, and it's been there for a while. David Runeman inside this race car. He is done with this practice session. 10th quick so far for the Florida native. So how good's this race car, David?
I think it's pretty good. We ran a lot of laps in our first practice. You know, we only really have one set of tires to practice on. So, you know, you get to the point where you're past the amount of laps that you would normally run on the tires. And overall, Dollar General Toyota is pretty good. I just, you know, again, we just had to get it running a lot of laps early to make it, get it to where it needs to be right now. But I think we should have a good race car for tomorrow.
David would love to get a win in his home state of Florida, guys.
I mean, this is like real close to his home.
Oh, it is.
Not far at all, really.
We've seen a lot of that this year. A lot of times guys go back to their hometowns and they perform well.
See Jeff Burton there in the 29 car, and it looks like the 18 teams obviously going to win the drivers championship and the owners championship. That's the first time that's happened in a few years, because this team right here won the 2007 Nationwide Series owners championship, and of course Carl Edwards won the drivers championship. You go back to last year, the 20 car of Joe Gibbs Racing won the owners championship. Clint Boyer won the drivers championship.
Jeff was quickest in the first practice, which, as we said much earlier today, an hour and 50 minutes. This practice now is led by Ryan Newman in a Chevrolet, followed by Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch in Toyotas, and Carl Edwards in a Ford. As Larry mentioned, Scott Speed very quick. He is 5th overall.
Riding around this mile-and-a-half racetrack with Jeff Burton, the 29 car. Up off turn 4, which has been a lot of trouble for a lot of teams down this straightaway. Turns it off the wall about halfway before he gets down to the bottom of the racetrack. You heard him roll out the throttle. Picked it up pretty quickly right there. And back onto the back straightaway. And this is going to be the new way that they come onto pit road here at the races this weekend. Here's Brad Keselowski coming off turn 4. Well, I'm going to tell you, that's about as close as you want to get to not making it.
And let's elaborate on that, Larry, the difference about how they've been getting on pit road.
Yeah, you've been entering on an excess road going into turn 3. And NASCAR had been evaluating that, because I think, Jeff, you pointed it out today, the last racetrack to have the excess road coming in, they really were wanting to make it more consistent with the other racetracks. Right. I know David Hoots, John Darby, Robin Pemberton, they've been evaluating it for several days, and they finally made the decision, you know what, we're going to stay in line with all of our other racetracks. We'll have the commit cone. You'll have where the pit road speed starts. It'll be more consistent with the other racetracks that we go to.
There's a great look from the blimp. You see one of the cars getting on the access road.
See me draw the circle right there where it goes.
Nice work on the telescope.
But you see in turn 3, right over there where you see that white line going across, that actually used to be about the area of where the commit cone or the commit line was. And the thing I like about it, Jeff, if I was still on the pit box, it gives me all the way through 3 and 4 under caution to make a few more decisions, a little longer to make a decision.
Yes, it is. That's right there is where it comes around. The old access way coming on the pit road.
So where Betty Gordon just was in that 72 car, they cannot do that during the race.
Not supposed to. And you can do it, but you're not supposed to.
And there's where the commit line used to be by the O-way, where you'd go into turn 3.
Wendy.
Well, Kyle Busch had some problems in this practice session with exactly what you guys are talking about. Remember at the beginning of the day, he was commenting how it's going to be really tough to come off of turn 4 when he's used to coming down that access road. Well, he almost wrecked coming off of turn 4 earlier in this nationwide practice. I checked in with the team to see how his car was doing. They said he hasn't said much on the radio, because I wasn't hearing Kyle on the radio either. They said when we usually don't hear anything, it's a good sign for Kyle Busch. He's headed back out there for one last run. They made a quick change, but I will tell you the AC unit has gone off and come back on to Kyle in the car. He commented on that, and one of the team members said the last time they had that happen, they had an alternator going bad, but Kyle said that the volts are still good, so it seems like that is not a problem, but it's definitely something they are continuing to watch this practice.
Just remember, when you push her to the line for qualifying, you're pushing her to the line for the race.
That's it.
Closing minutes of practice coming up. Stay with us. Closing moments of NASCAR Nationwide Series practice. Don't forget the Camping World Truck Series season finale coming up next.
I think we need to explain something. You just saw that car leaving pit road, using the access road leaving. You do in the race, you have to use that access road leaving pit road, but you don't have to in practice. And what these guys here, they're practicing qualifying runs. And when you practice qualifying run, there you see the two differences with those two cars. But in the race, you have to be right there where you see Michael McDowell, or that's actually Brian Keselowski, on that access road leaving pit road. Now, on coming onto pit road, you can use the access road if you want, there's no penalty, but you're going to lose a lot of time.
A lot of time. But John Darby told me as far as the excess road getting back off of pit road, he thought it really helped get them back up to speed and into the blend line where they wanted to come out off of turn 2 anyway. So again, they're trying to get consistent with all the tracks that they go to. They use excess roads, leaving at a lot of racetracks, but this is one of the very few, or the last one, that they have been using it coming in, and they want to change it.
See Eric Darnell in this 6 car for the final race of 2009. He is 8th quickest right now. He's run a total of 23 laps. In fact, his fastest lap, they must have put fresh tires on that car, was just about a lap ago.
About Mark Day in the 05 ran 1 lap, and he is 9th fastest.
He's the fastest of the Go Homers. We talked about it. 9 cars will not qualify for this show, so I have to believe a lot of those Go Home guys, that was their main focus in this practice session right here.
Got to get in the show, and you said it earlier, Larry. There's going to be 9 people going to be very disappointed making this long trek down here to Homestead. They have to make their way back in the year off, kind of like in a disappointing way.
Well, the stars of NASCAR smarts are loitering in the back, lurking with DW. Is this the biggest car count for 2009, or are you working on makeup for tomorrow?
You got them scrambling, Burns.
Huh? Yeah, look at them. Smart guys. Back there lurking with DW.
Yeah, right now,
He's
the
a
cars
bad
that would be in trouble would be Eddie McDonald, Johnny Chapman, Tim Andrews, Morgan Shepherd, Jeremy Clements, Brian Keselowski, John Warnerman III, Jennifer Jo Cobb, and Benny Gordon.
Carl Edwards has just jumped to the top of the charts, bumping Ryan Newman.
Hey, this 1 car Mike Bliss we're riding with might be pretty tough tomorrow.
They look like they've got the car a lot better as far as the balance is concerned right now. You saw him a minute ago. He's putting some pressure right there. We got a red flag condition right now.
And there's the fastest man in the alley during his practice, Carl Edwards, after spinning out on lap 2. Fresh tires, back out there, ran 21 laps. He is the fastest.
There's a guy sitting on the pole right there tonight's truck race. Colin Brown, Jason Leffler.
You mentioned it, Steve. Mark Day, fastest of the Go Homers.
We will step aside when we come back. John Roberts will get you up to date. And then right after that, it's the Camping World Truck Series live, the season finale here on Speed.